Don't make it bad. Take a sad song and make it better. Remember to let her into your heart. Okay, I know I'm done. Thank you.
Welcome back,
I just
everyone.
I wanted to do the da 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 da. I wanted to do that.
da
part.
da da
Anyways,
da da.
da. Hey Jude. Da 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 da. Never mind.
Guys, I promise I sing well. I swear I can sing better than this. No. Anyways.
Okay, I really don't. So I am fine with that.
Yeah, I was embodying like Tanvi's singing abilities right now, okay?
Tanvi.
Yeah, it's Tanvi's
sure.
fault. It's Tanvi's fault.
That's a good backup, yes.
Everything is Tanvi's
Exactly.
fault.
Everything
If something happened to you, if you got a splinter, whatever, Tanvi's fault. Okay. Anyways, welcome back to the podcast, everyone. My name's Sunidhi.
That was way too enthusiastic for how this podcast is. Those are false expectations, my dear. Anyways, this is Tanvi.
And this is Anika.
And today, we're going to be talking about nature versus nurture. Given that I have the least nuanced opinions about this topic, I decided to make life much easier for myself and just spew information and let the other two handle the whole entertainment aspect.
Infodump.
Of like actually having of actually having interesting takes on it. So if this is a bad episode, you can blame them.
That's a good cover.
Now-
That's a good cover.
See, no,
Thank
we
you.
had decided in the previous episodes that anything goes wrong, we blame it on Tanvi. So it's a full circle, you blame us, but then because you're blaming us, we're gonna blame Tanvi for it.
Of course.
So,
Exactly. If you get a splinter, if you stub your toe, anything, just say fuck Tanvi. This is Tanvi's fault. We'll understand. Don't worry.
And I will accept that graciously because I do the same thing in my life as well. I just blame myself for everything. So it works out perfectly.
that got
Back
real.
to the
Oh
topic.
no.
Oh no. Nervous laughing.
You're like, yikes. Anyways, so interestingly enough, the nature versus nurture debate has been around for a very, very long time. Can anybody guess which civilization initiated this conversation?
Rome.
Greek. They do everything. Okay.
Didn't Rome have Colosseum and shit? I don't know.
Incorrect. It was actually medieval France.
Oh.
Damn.
Yeah, so they actually started this debate, although it became popularized in Victorian England. The only thing that the British have ever taken from the French.
Oh no.
Oh no.
You're like, oh, damn.
I'm in danger.
I'm in
This is the podcast right now.
Okay, so I'll give a short. So I'm pretty sure everybody knows the nature versus nurture debate. It's one of the most popular debates about human behavior and about evolution in a weird way. But I'll just describe both the terms very briefly. So the use of the terms nature and nurture as convenient catchphrases for the roles of heredity and environment in human development can be traced back to 13th century France. In simple terms, basically what that means is some scientists believe that people behave as they do according to genetic predispositions or even animal instincts, which is known as the nature theory of human behavior. While other
Side
people
note.
believe that,
This
Go
is the Tanvi's plain time. Continue.
of course, while other people believe that people think and behave in certain ways because they are taught to do so or because of their nurture and the way they are nurtured. The use of the terms nature and nurture as convenient catchphrases for the roles of heredity and environment in human development can be traced back to 13th century France. In the simplest of terms, basically what that means is some scientists believe that people behave the way they do because of their quote unquote animal instincts and because it's an intrinsic property of them as people. While others believe that people behave in certain ways because that's how they are taught to behave, or it's reactionary more than intrinsic and innate, if that makes sense. So those are the two arguments that people can make. One of the first times actually where somebody truly made an argument about why human nature is why the way we behave isn't nature but rather nurture was in an ancient civilization. Can either one of you guess what civilization it was?
I don't know history.
Greek.
Just
Greek.
make a guess.
Greek. The Greeks did everything.
I don't. I don't know. I don't know the Mayans. I don't know.
Egyptian. Indian.
Okay, Handa, you're gonna have to stick to one guess.
Humans. Okay, I
Yeah, that's a
remember.
good answer.
I have no
Humans.
idea.
Okay. It was actually the Chinese civilization.
We were
So there's
very
this dude-
off. We were very off.
Very wrong. So there's this dude called Chen Sheng who started an uprising in 209 BC China, where he basically raised the question of how can kings, noblemen, generals, and ministers be genetically determined? So he was really one of the first people who was like, fuck monarchy. We need to have like elected officials instead. And he started an
That's
uprising
nice.
against the Wu Wang dynasty.
Forgive the
Hopefully, I'm
pronunciations. Yeah.
pronouncing that. Yeah, please forgive the pronunciation. To call for a revolution, essentially. And though Chen was obviously, in the negative to this question, the phrase has often been cited as an early quest to the nature versus nurture problem.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, where do you guys stand on nature versus nurture?
I think it's both. I've always thought it was both. I feel like it has to be
Yeah,
in
like-
you,
Okay.
but nurture takes it out of you. That's how I've always seen it.
Yeah, so I think I don't remember where I heard this, but I heard someone say something like your nature is the gun while the trigger is kind of nurture. So
Exactly,
it's
yeah.
both. You can't really have one without the other.
Because there are people
Yeah.
like who've been like relentlessly bullied and who go their entire life just like, making fun of like, oh, I got bullied and stuff like that. That's just an example. But then there are people who got like not even as severely bullied and they turn out to be like, shooters and stuff like that. So
School shooters.
yeah, exactly. So it really varies. But that, with that being said, you can't really use it as an excuse either. So there are people who'll be like, oh, like I got bullied and that's why I did this. There are people who'll be like, oh, even I got bullied and I didn't do that. You can't do that as well. So it's both sides. You get a bit of a problem.
Okay, let me phrase it this way. Gun to your head, right? If you had to pick whether you think that people behave the way they do because of their nature or because of the way they were nurtured, which would you pick? You have to pick only one. You can't say both.
Okay, fine. If I had to pick nature,
If I had
Okay,
to, I'd say
Hannah?
nurture. Nurture.
yeah, I can see both
Interesting.
sides of the argument.
Okay, so
Yeah, same. I just lean more towards nurture.
for the audience listening, all three of us are elder siblings. Like we
Oh, yeah.
each have a younger sibling, and we each have a younger sibling, and
Who we want to kill. No, we don't. It's okay. I swear. I
I've
will
come
not.
to a common ground with my brother, so
And I mean, I can only really speak for myself when I say that my sister and I are pretty much polar opposites. We have very little, if anything at all, in common.
Anika's like,
And,
really? Let me tell you something.
And that's in spite of the fact that for the most part we went to the same school. We obviously, like, she's my full sibling, so we have the same parents and all of that, and still we're complete opposites. So Yeah, that's interesting. That Sunidhi would say that it's complete that, if she were forced to choose, she would say nature, and Hannah would say nurture. Um,
The reason why I say nature, right, is because it's kind of like this. It's about how those things that can nurture you affect you. You can, I guess, argue that. I've kind of hint more to that side because it's like, again, going back to like the bullying and shooter example, right? If you're being bullied, some people have the tolerance to cope with any level of bullying, right? Um, and others, they just have no tolerance whatsoever for even the slightest bit of bullying. And they become,
but
they
here's
are,
the
I can
thing,
see that.
yeah.
See,
Sunidhi,
but
I would
my
argue,
counter to that, okay, if whatever, okay, my
yeah,
counter
I
to
would
that would
argue
basically
that,
be that wow, we will just keep talking over each other.
good
Should we
God,
just
okay,
like
fine,
go?
go ahead. Yeah, I think we're
Okay.
trying to say the same thing, so go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think for most cases though, if you look at it, most cases do have a motive. It's
You're
not
right,
like
yeah.
every other crime that happens is just like, oh, look, I was a happy child, but I just like killing people, lol. Haha. Oh, it's not always like that. More of the cases that I've read about have had some sort of motive or some sort of like events in the past that link their crime to what they're doing now.
Yeah,
But
also,
yeah, I mean, I would lean more towards nurture.
I was what I was going to say was that in a lot of cases, right, especially when it's extreme bullying, people who inflict said torture upon other people have some semblance of a mental disorder,
Right, yeah. But again, I
right?
think
So
most
if
people have a
chances
mental
are,
disorder of some sort.
oh, that's a that is a controversial take, my dear.
I definitely don't think so. The reason why I say this, I can back it up with like fact, and that is the DSM-5 has so many illnesses within it. There is no way you can open it, no matter what age you are, no matter who you are, what background you have, doesn't matter. You open it, you will have at least, I would say, 3 illnesses. It's got so many. There's no way that you can't have something. It's just a fact. That's the
Let's
beauty of
check this at
psychology.
the end of the episode. Keep
Sure.
listening to find out what mental illnesses we have.
We have.
Oh my god.
Good God. Oh. Once again, we have a very upbeat and positive podcast for you guys where we talk about what
Always,
mental
always.
illnesses all of us have. Yeah,
Again,
clearly.
feel free to send us money for therapy. We will happily accept it.
It's most of us just
How you
talking
can
about
send us
Tanvi.
this money, we don't know.
We don't know. Yeah, we don't know yet.
You could
Uh,
just DM us on Instagram and we will give you our bank
What is
details.
that? What is that
at
Don't
app? Cash
steal
App?
from
dude
us
is
though.
water wet.
Cash
Our
App?
Yeah,
IG
at dude
handle
is
is
water white.
at is dude is water wet. Yeah. Um. God, that made me feel like such a.
We are
Shameless
influencers.
plug time.
Shameless.
Oh
Yes,
God.
influencer. We have 25 followers, y'all. Ah.
I thought we had like five. I thought it was just like the three of us and Zeba and Handa's other
Zeba's
account.
are the friend of Anika's who's doing the artwork, just by the way.
I have 4 accounts, so at no point would you have less than like 7 followers.
Oh my god, you just outed it. You're just
I
like, oh
also
yeah.
forced my parents to follow me.
Yeah, I saw the notifications. I was like, oh, now they're gonna know.
Oh, okay. So there have been. I'm not even gonna attempt at a segue there. I'm just gonna jump
Don't
right
even
in.
worry. Yeah, it's fine.
So there has actually been a significant amount of evidence from behavioral genetic research that suggests that family environmental factors may have an effect upon childhood IQ, accounting for up to a quarter of the variance.
Oh, so if you have a
Ooh, that's a lot.
dysfunctional like parent, like your parents have a dysfunctional relationship, you're stupid.
Or you have like an unstable household growing up, then that can affect your IQ, but your childhood IQ. As you grow up, it all sort of
If you're
evens out.
stupid, blame your
Um,
parents.
always. Oh, see,
No,
that's
but
the thing is
negatively or positively?
either way, it's a variance, right? It could be in the positive or in the negative, but up to a quarter of your
See, I'm just
IQ
thinking about
depends.
like my friends and like some of their relationship with their parents, and I'm just thinking like Most of my friends, they make like dumb decisions, but they're smart people. And from what I'm hearing, different relationships. I don't know. Actually, I feel like you know what? I feel like if you have a good relationship with at least one of your parents, you'll come out fine, in my opinion. If you have a good relationship, doesn't mean like
See, I
average.
know people who have like fantastic relationships with their parents for the most part,
Plural,
and
so
are
as in like both of them.
pretty questionable. Yeah, both of them, and are pretty shitty people.
Mm-hmm.
Even still are pretty shitty people and like make very questionable decisions. And I know people who don't really have great relationships with either one of their parents, and obviously that comes with its own emotional baggage, but they make
Yeah.
sound decisions and are still very intelligent individuals.
I think
So
that would just be that they're more cautious and they like can probably take in their surroundings better, especially for someone who say has like an abusive past or whatever. Would probably be more cautious around people, would be more aware of their surroundings than someone who's just like been coddled forever.
Yeah,
Just,
that's a fair
yeah,
take.
whatever.
and here's okay. So
That
I think
said, please don't hit your children. Thank you.
Yes, please no. If you hear
uh
domestic abuse is not good.
Yeah, just don't hit your children.
yeah.
Thank
Don't
you.
hit people in general. Violence is never a good thing in any way.
Also, please try not to emotionally traumatize your kids. It doesn't end up well. They end up having commitment issues. Let's not do that, please.
All sorts
Thank
of
you.
issues.
And that said, we are not parents, so
Yeah,
you
that's
know,
it. We are not parents, right?
No, no, I have
yeah,
like,
we have no
speak for
idea.
yourself. I have 7 children. Excuse
Let's
me.
just clarify. It sounds like we're projecting, but we're not. Let's just
Yeah,
clarify.
we're not. We're not.
We're
We're
just
not.
very good method acting, really.
Okay, so the American Psychological Association's report, titled Intelligence, Knowns and Unknowns, states that there is no doubt that normal child development requires a certain minimum level of responsible care.
You're
Here,
gonna have to repeat that. None of
environment
that
is.
registered in my head.
Yeah,
Okay,
none of that
so.
registered in my head. It just went
I don't know
straight up.
why
I was
that
like,
just
wait,
happened.
what?
I was
It
fine
was
Okay,
a
until
so
very
now.
tough
basically,
sentence to get in my head, yeah.
okay, basically, what the American Psychological Association's report said was that you, as a child, need a certain amount of care from your parents,
Right,
right?
okay.
Mm-hmm.
For a normal functioning child. Beyond that, however, your the role of your family experience doesn't have any real effect on your IQ.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah, so
that
long
makes
as you're
sense.
getting like a
The bare minimums.
certain minimum amount of attention and you're not like completely neglected as a child, so long as you're having your basic needs met, you can't really blame your parents in terms of how they brought you up for your lack of IQ. Again, IQ isn't really the same thing as
Yeah.
intelligence. There are a lot of flaws with
We're
the
just using
scale.
it as a measure right now.
Yeah, we're just
Yeah, yeah,
using
yeah.
it
But
as like
like,
a vague
it's a decent
measuring tool.
measure, yeah.
Yeah. On the other hand, by late adolescence, this correlation disappears such that adoptive siblings no longer have similar IQ scores, which is pretty interesting. So, if you're not genetically related to your siblings,
Mm-hmm.
by the time you turn 17, 18, 19, your IQ no longer has any correlation, which means that in the long term, nurture doesn't play a role in how well you do academically. Let's
Okay,
just say
wait.
book smart.
Let's just
Well,
like try.
shit.
Wait. Maybe it's just my brain. I'm slow. But like for example, like my brother and I, right? My parents have like raised my brother and I fairly evenly, right? It's just like depending on we're slightly different, but not super
Yeah, yeah,
different.
okay,
Our age gap
understood.
isn't
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
So so basically saying like right now I'm 18, right? Gonna be 19. But right now this is like this point onwards I'm gonna be like they're not raising me anymore technically, right? Like I'm my own person. So my intelligence right now is like the way it is because of who I am. But right now my brothers can change depending until
Okay,
he's
so
like my age right
basically,
now.
Okay.
what that
And
means
another
is,
point, what I would like add is like nurture significantly is not like parents for kids surely are like the only point of contact or whatever, but as we grow older, even if you come into like KG or like first grade, we have a whole social circle. Like we have our friends,
Yeah.
we have our
Exactly.
bullies, we have like
Yeah.
others. So I think even that would have a big influence, not just,
Social
the
media.
parenting part of it.
No, I think what they're talking about basically is that so long as you've had a decently regular, normal childhood where you didn't experience major abuse, you weren't severely bullied, none of that, right? And you don't have any major mental disorders either. So you're not somebody who needs special care because that's a different study entirely. But so long as you're by all regular metrics, you lie in the normal range, you don't. So two adoptive siblings in a similar situation in a decently healthy household who haven't really experienced any major traumas in life will not have any correlation in their IQs,
Okay.
which
Okay.
I
then
kind of
tends
get
to
it, yeah.
show, yeah, that your IQ is more heavily dependent upon your genetics or your nature than your nurture.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, given that if you guys did go to a similar schooling system and all that, one of you is not going to have a drastically, like, there's not going to be any correlation between IQs just because of the way
That
you grew up.
also said, like, IQ is not a decent measure of like who's
Of
gonna
course, it's
become a
not,
whole
but
ass
it's
criminal.
it's
Yeah.
the most widely accepted measure of a certain kind
Oh,
of intelligence. So
of
that is,
intelligence, yes, but then not all criminals are intelligent. I'm
but
sorry,
we're
Mr.
not talking
Criminal. I
about
don't mean to
crime
offend
here.
you.
Nobody's talking about criminals, Sanda.
Oh, but I am thinking of it in the criminal sense because that's where most of the
Yeah,
debate
the
goes,
conversation
right?
does mostly come in like a criminal sense.
Yeah.
Like
I
I was about to bring up
understand
like
where you're
some
coming from.
terminology, but then I was like,
Uh,
in a different
However,
area.
in this context, again, we're not talking about criminals. We're talking about people who haven't suffered through any major trauma, who don't, like, your average person. We're
Okay,
talking
okay.
about your average. This is a study conducted on people
How do
who
you
are
know your
for
average person isn't a
the
criminal?
criminal.
Dun
Okay, I
dun
knew you were going to say that. Okay,
dun.
listen. This is about people who are very inconspicuous, very unremarkable, just your average schmo on the
Oh,
street.
so you?
So people,
Oh,
Me,
I was
sorry.
about to say
I'm
exactly.
us three. I was about to
sorry.
say us three, but then
Extremely forgettable,
oh
nothing remarkable, will never achieve
no,
anything of significance in their life. Exactly. That is the kind of person we're talking
no,
about. Now,
No,
oh
moving
Tanvi,
my
it's
on.
okay. You're very
Uh,
unique. You're
more
extremely unique.
adoption studies indicate
she's just ignoring us.
by full by adulthood, adoptive siblings are no more similar in IQ than complete strangers, where the IQ correlation would be near zero. While full siblings show an IQ correlation of zero point 0.6, which is very high. Twin
Is it
studies,
does it increase like with like depending on the relationship? So as in like if it's
yeah,
twins, is
that's
it
what I'm coming
different?
to.
Okay, okay.
So, identical twins or monozygotic twins have a correlation of 0.75,
Oh wow.
which is fucking insane. And fraternal twins have a correlation of about zero point 0.6, so similar to full siblings.
It's the
But
same, yeah. Like
yeah,
fraternal
yeah.
twins are basically siblings, but
So
born at the
that,
same
yeah, yeah.
time.
So that's the correlation between their IQ as well, is zero point 0.6, exactly the same as full siblings.
So my brother can blame me for like fucking up in his exams. That is not good. That is not
Your
good.
your brother can blame your ancestors for him fucking up on his exams.
Yeah.
Great,
That is
great,
what he
great, great,
can.
great, 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 great grandmother. Screw you.
Yeah.
Yes. How dare she?
Hey,
Disgusting.
hey, Gammy, fuck you. You fuck my
Oh my
brain.
god. Next thing you know, we're haunted.
No.
In next episode of Most Haunted Times. Oh, spoiler.
Tanvi's grandma. No, Tanvi's great grandmother joins us as a feature.
So, recent adoption studies also found that supportive parents can have a positive effect on the mental development of their child. So, while having a stable and healthy household is good for your mental health, obviously, we know that. That's just, that
The bare minimums.
instinctively feels correct. It also has a positive effect on your IQ and your intelligence overall. That being said, so long as you had a relatively stable childhood, as in there wasn't much upheaval, you didn't grow up with a lot of economic strife, you didn't grow up with abusive parents, you will probably be okay. Like, that's what
Yeah.
we're getting to, really. Um, Another facet of human beings that's often cited as an example of a heritable trait is their personality. Again, turns out my ancestor had horrible fucking personalities. I can just blame this on them. It's their fault.
Lord.
Nobody's used behavioral genetic study designs, right? So using behavioral genetic study designs, personality is frequently cited as an example of a heritable trait. This has been studied in twins as well as adoptees. The most woo
Don't die. Woo.
The most famous categorical organization of heritable personality traits were defined in the 1970s by two research teams led by Paul Costa and Robert R. McCrae, and Warren Norman and Louis Goldberg, in
I will
which
remember none of these names.
you don't have, there'll be a quiz at the end, in
Oh,
which
yes.
they had
I'm gonna
people
leave.
rate. Along with intelligence, personality is another one of those traits that people cite as heritable, right? It's considered,
Yeah.
which was a surprise to me because I thought your personality, if nothing else in your life was a result of your nurture, I assumed that personality definitely was. Turns out I was wrong about this, as I am about
Yeah.
everything.
Oh my.
Um,
Ah, yes.
the most Yeah, okay, so a lot of research was done into this in the 1970s because they had a lot of money and everybody was snorting cocaine and they had nothing better to do with their time.
Ah,
They decided to say,
what a
fuck it,
time to be
we will
alive.
we will conduct experiments on twins as well as adoptive siblings to see how similar their personalities were. That's
Right.
the gist of it, right? Now, they had people rate their personality on more than 1000 dimensions. So
Jeez.
if you've taken
Damn.
the MBTI quiz, they have, like, I
Oh
think about
no.
100 questions in that quiz. I think 100, 180, something like that. This questionnaire had 1000 questions.
Bro.
Take
Oh my
fucking
god.
forever to fill out. For some people, for me, it would be very fuck it, just get this shit done with.
Yeah. I take forever.
So, and that is actually how they came up with the big 5 factors of personality, which is openness, conscientiousness, um, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism.
Wow.
So, Sunidhi actually made Handa and I take the Big Five test not too long ago. I think this is similar to that, but please do not take my word for it. The
Okay.
close genetic relationship between positive personality traits and, for example, our happiness traits are the mirror image of comorbidity in psychopathology. These personality factors
Okay.
were
Okay. Those were some words. Those were some words.
These personality factors were consistent across cultures, and many studies have tested the heritability of these traits. Basically, there are various traits such as how open you are, how extroverted you are, and so on and so forth that have a very strong genetic linkage. And more, and this was seen across various cultures. It wasn't just in the West. It kind of, yeah. Uh, Identical twins reared apart in are far more similar in personality than randomly selected pairs of people. So basically, if anybody's seen any Bollywood movie made in the 70s, there was always a pair of twins, a pair of pins. Wow, Tanvi.
A 12
A
pins.
pair of twins, a pair of twins that was like separated at birth. So
Oh my
their
god.
personalities are supposed to be, scientifically, a lot more similar than any two random schmoes you meet on the street.
But then in these tropes, it'll be like very polar opposites.
Yeah, but that is wrong, as is
Yeah.
most of all those movies.
Most,
Anyways,
yeah.
like likewise, identical twins are far more similar than fraternal twins.
Okay, yeah,
So
makes sense.
again, Liv and Maddie lied to you, as did the Parent Trap. Um,
Aww.
Dun dun dun.
Also, biological siblings are a lot more similar in personality than adoptive siblings. Now,
Which
here's the
also makes
thing.
sense.
Again, I think I might have mentioned this earlier in the episode. My sister and I polar opposites. We might be adopted though. Who knows? That's the only likely explanation for our
I've heard
wildly
siblings
dissimilar
tell their younger
personalities.
siblings that they were picked up from garbage bags
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
but this is
yeah.
the
Yeah,
first, yeah.
oddly enough, though, my brother acts more like the older sibling than I do. Like he's like, I'm the adopted one, which like,
It's not odd, it's very, very visible. Like, we can
It's
tell too.
understandable, yeah. Nobody's surprised by that.
No one's
Um,
surprised. It's not,
okay,
yeah.
okay, memo received.
so, you guys want to talk about your experiences with this? Now that I've given the research, you guys want to talk about your views on everything and how you agree or disagree with it?
Okay, I am still kind of like unconvinced. Like, I mean, I get that nature would play a role, but I don't think it's like just nature still. Of
Yeah,
course, it's both, but I'm still leaning towards nurture. I have no idea why I'm not like other people.
a
Sorry,
lot of
I'm
people
so
actually think
sorry.
the reason. Okay, actually, a lot of people do think. Okay, I'm just gonna bring in like a bit of law into this, and
Yeah.
that's just what I've like studied. That there's this like two takes that people have, especially like how judges do their jobs and how the justice system tends to work, right? Is there's these two roles, individualistic and collectivist, right? As I don't know if I'm using the right words, individualist or collectivist, something like that. And one is very like, oh, the community like you were raised in such an environment. That's collectivist, right? You were raised in such an environment, stuff around you was like this, and this is why you like this. An individualist is like, you were born like this, you made these decisions, it doesn't matter what you went through, why did you make those decisions? So, and that's how the judgment would be made. So that's why I feel like a lot of people, and a lot of times the justice system tends to be individualist. They tend to be like, you should be punished for this long, regardless of what you've been through, regardless of what your life has done to you, all that. And that's why I think it's a very common thing for people to be like, oh, I do think it could be nurture more. But again, it's a case by case thing. Sometimes nurture's a little more, sometimes nature's a little more. I tend to choose nature because it just makes more sense to me. Because I know there are people who've been through the exact same things as me, right? Okay, not the exact same things, but like similar experiences, like stuff I can relate to them on, right? Like, I can give an example. I'm not going to disclose any name, but like me and a friend of mine, like we're both very close, and our whole friendship is based upon the fact that like our close friends during school had left at the same time, and so we bonded over that. And I can hear the hammering. Yeah, it's a very like connected like friendship based on that. But we're two very different people. We're like polar opposites, but we connect on certain areas. Because I don't think two people can be friends or like, care about one another for a long time without having things in common.
Something in
Same,
common.
yeah, exactly. I feel like you like play off one another like that. Like my brother and I, we were very different when we were younger. But as we got older, we just like our age gap isn't a lot, so that does help us a little bit because he's just like he's in high school, I'm in college, just starting college, so it's not too far apart. But at the same time, like over time, we started like agreeing on stuff like music and like preferences and like you know stuff like that. So I think it really just depends on how your relationship is with someone, and so like if you yeah, that's all I have to say really. It's just like it really depends on person to person. That's all I can say. So
Okay.
yeah, but
I was looking forward to this elaborate story with you and your friend, and then it's just like, that's all I have to
Yeah.
say.
I mean, yeah,
Nothing more.
that's it. Like
I shall
like,
not elaborate.
speculate. Hey guys, Sunidhi here from editing yet again. I realized while listening to this part that I'm stupid because I just told an elaborate story without getting to the point where I explain why I'm telling the story. So basically, what I was trying to explain was that two people can go through the same experience and come out very differently, and two people who are quite different can go through the same experience and actually come out quite similar. So an example for the first case being my friend and I, and an example for the second case being my brother and I. So, hope that clears things up. I'm stupid. My apologies. My brain doesn't function. And yeah, on with the listening. Toodles.
So, Handa, do you want to take the affirmative here?
No.
No, okay.
No.
Don't tell me what to
You're
do.
like, I have nothing to say.
I have nothing to say. You have rendered me speechless. No,
Handa's
you
like,
haven't. But
Handa's like, I haven't had an original thought since 2003
Oh,
and I will fucking keep it that
that's her
way. Okay,
ancestors'
fuck off.
fault.
it's my ancestors' fault. Why are you blaming me for it? Go
You know,
on.
I can already tell they're gonna be teenagers listening to this and just literally blaming their parents and ancestors. Kid, no, if you're being a shithead, you're being a shithead, alright? Let's just
Yeah,
get
you
that
still,
clear.
okay, yeah, fuck off. Still take accountability for your fucking
Yeah,
actions.
exactly.
You have control over what you do. Your first
Exactly.
thought that comes to your mind isn't your fault. The second thought that comes to your mind is absolutely your fault.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest. You know, when
Don't make
something happens to
excuses.
you, your first thought is involuntary, that's fine. Your second thought is how you react to the first thought. If that's
Yeah,
problematic,
yeah.
then you need to rethink your situation and your beliefs. Anyways, the reason why
Yeah.
I disagree with like the nature versus nurture thing being skewed in nature's favor is because of a hot button issue called, you guessed it, folks, eugenics.
Oh, yeah.
Yay! Everybody start
Yay!
clapping. So, for those of us who don't know about this, eugenics is basically this belief that we can build a better race by having better human race by having certain people mate with certain people. It's basically a belief that, okay, so for those of us who grew up in India, which, spoiler alert, if the accents weren't obvious enough, I grew up in India.
If the names and the accents weren't
Yes.
obvious.
Caste, the caste system is actually based upon this concept of like certain people who
Yes.
come from certain families are inherently better than others,
Yeah.
right? That's also what systems of governance such as oligarchies and monarchies were based on. Is basically certain people have purer blood, so they should be allowed to rule over others.
Yeah.
That's the basic concept. I
It's the
inherently
same thing as
disagree
like
with
royalty
it.
should like marry royalty only. So it's the same
Exactly.
thing.
That's also what a lot of cultures have used historically to justify incest by saying that that helps keep the bloodline pure. Again, anybody who's seen
You.
Game of Thrones, even if you aren't a
Right,
Ew.
yeah.
history buff, yeah. So that's why I
No, that's.
highly, highly disagree with the whole nature being more important than nurture bit, because again, there have been various studies conducted about how people who are given certain amenities and certain facilities end up doing better on like IQ tests and stuff, and why that's an argument that's been made about why IQ tests are kind of a sham,
Yeah.
because
I mean, it's just
a
like
lot
picking
of it
patterns.
depends. Exactly. And now, of course, there
The
are people
entire
who are
Mensa club is shaking.
and of course, there are certain people who are more predisposed to being better at certain kinds of puzzles and subjects
Yeah.
like mathematics. There definitely is a genetic component to it. But saying that
Wow.
your genetics are the only thing that matter, I believe, is a complete sham, because if you're
Yeah.
given better amenities and facilities and if you're given better information, you will learn more. And
Exactly.
you also,
Genetics
I
plays a
think,
Okay, yeah.
certain role. It's not the only thing though.
yeah.
The only contributor.
Oh yeah. No, understandable. But then if you start going off of, like only nature, not again, we believe it's both. But
Yeah.
if we only focus on nature, it's stuff like if someone say committed a crime, will you like just lock up their children
It
because
takes
like,
away a
oh,
lot of
the father was a
accountability as
criminal, the
well.
mother was a criminal,
See,
they might be criminals too.
that's
Haha.
the,
Exactly.
and that's what happens in concentration camps. Handa cracked
Exactly.
it.
Exactly.
That's the argument.
Yay.
It's
Which is
exactly
why
how
I
like
think the whole
systematic anything happens. They just paint this one
precisely.
thing, this one characteristic as bad or like criminal and
That
they
was
just keep them.
quite literally the whole concept behind slavery was that
Exactly, yeah.
people of
That's,
people
yeah.
of African descent were naturally, and I am not saying this, these aren't my beliefs, please let's
Oh,
make that
yeah,
clear,
yeah.
not my beliefs,
Oh,
just the
no,
concept
no,
behind
yeah, it's
slavery. We do not support slavery in this household. Now, moving on. Just I felt the need to add that disclaimer, even though it should be decently
Really,
obvious,
a lot
but
of
still, it's
things,
fine.
anything and
Uh,
everything comes back to nature versus nurture. Like, I just started thinking about, like, oh,
yeah.
like interracial marriages and relationships. People are against it because of this. People are like,
yeah,
oh,
like
this is your
so
nature.
many
Exactly.
like sociological problems in our time. It's this nonsense.
Exactly. Sexuality as well comes back to nature versus nurture. People are like, oh, you had a bad relationship. Like, I saw this like TikTok trend for a bit. I know it's a joke. I know it's not like at least I don't think it's an authentic thing. But there was like this trend where people were like, oh, you're gay right now because you had a bad relationship with your father. And it's just like a joke that a lot of like gay people were doing.
What even?
Yeah.
That's so absurd. No.
I know, but it's like that a lot of people making that trend, and actually, I know people who actually believe in that. Like, oh, you're bisexual, you're gay, or you're pan because like you have a terrible relationship with your parents. I don't think that's true. Like, I definitely don't think that's true. But again, um, yeah, people just forget
Going back
everything
to
comes
this, they
back to
might be
nature.
like believers of Freud's theories because he had this
Yes.
thing, I don't know if you all remember, where he said every boy after some point has
Wants
feelings
to
for
fuck
his
his
mother.
mom. Yeah, the
Like,
Oedipus
I
complex.
was trying to say it nicely. I was trying to
Every
say it
yeah,
nicely.
yeah.
That's
No, it's called
disgusting.
the Oedipus
Oh my
complex, and it's
god.
basically that
I know, yeah.
every
I
guy
brought it
wants to
up. Of
kill
course
his
I
dad
know.
and bone his mom.
I
And
want to
then
like
there's one that's applied to girls as well. We call them daddy issues because
yeah.
why give it
You
a smart
just
sounding
you
name
just
because it's
Tanvi
girls?
explained me.
Of
That,
The
course.
ladies and gentlemen, was the Tanvi explain.
I
Ayo.
know way too many girls who like post on like on their stories and statuses or whatever that like they lie about their age to like older guys and stuff like that because they like older guys. Don't. Oh my god, that just is messed
Please
up.
don't.
Please don't do that.
Guys,
So
there's
many
a
guys are
reason why
predatory.
statutory rape exists and is a thing that people are punished for. I know at 14 we all think we're very mature.
Yeah.
Please,
Never
I
in
beg
my
you, don't date an
life
adult. And if
have
you're
I
an
was
adult,
crying at
stay
14
away
because
from
I felt
14-year-olds.
old. So
God
that's
damn it.
great.
If you are an adult, stay away from 14-year-olds.
exactly
Fucking
never in my
disgusting.
life have I understood why some guys are like, oh, she needs to be like a few years younger than me. Like, bro, what? No, she shouldn't have to be younger than you.
Maturity levels, bro.
Exactly. The most I'll
Also,
be like a year
They
younger is the
it's
most.
like they have introspected and realized that their maturity level is several years below what their actual age is and went, oh yeah,
Exactly.
probably.
Also, by the way, I have had like quite a few friends, like, okay, not quite a few. I've had like three friends who dated somebody who wasn't in our like academic year, who was either a year older or a year younger, and all of them were relentlessly shat on for it, which I think should be the case.
Oh
Like,
my
Oh
god,
my god.
Tanvi.
See, the
Just
thing
for
is, right?
reference, she doesn't have a lot of friends, yeah.
Yeah.
fuck off. Okay, no, seriously, what I was
We
talking
despise
about
her.
was
I'm sorry, continue.
what I was talking about was that when you are a teenager, like again, for a 14-year-old to date a 17-year-old is fucking creepy. A
Yeah.
27-year-old to date a 30-year-old is perfectly
Isn't.
fine. Nobody will
Yeah.
bat an eye because at that point, 3 years aren't going to make a huge difference in your mental development. But as a teenager, 3 years is a fucking lifetime. Okay,
Yeah.
the difference
Yeah.
between the maturity level of a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old is so massive that a 16-year-old going out with a 13-year-old
Yeah.
is an abuse of power because you will be a lot more self-possessed than the 13-year-old is.
Like
It's
one of my
just not
friends,
okay.
one of my friends, like he explained this in a great way to me, right? Let's say people reach maturity at age 20, assuming. Let's just say they reach peak maturity at 20, and from that point onwards, it doesn't fluctuate whatsoever, right? And there's a 17-year-old guy, he's going to reach that level of maturity within 3 years. And there's a 14-year-old girl who's going to reach that level of maturity much later on, all right? It's going to take more years than that.
Wait,
After
Sunidhi,
that
did you
point,
just forget how to do maths? Could you not come up with six? Sorry, continue.
so after that
Sorry,
point,
like
after the
much
age of
longer.
20, right? I'm going to mute both of you. After that point of 20, right? It's fine because you've reached that level of maturity. But before that, right, you both haven't reached that level of maturity, and there's no reason for you to like each other without. Okay, like I never have understood that. Like you haven't reached that point. Be friends with someone who's like maybe a few years older than you, sure. But even then, I'm a little uncertain about it. Even then, I'm like, why? Why would you want to like? I don't understand why older people are into younger people. It's odd to me, like several years younger. I'm not saying like a year up older and younger. I think is like you're still within somewhat of a decent range. I don't think it's too bad. But like the moment you're crossing like 2 years, 3 years, that's when it gets a little tricky because you are in completely different areas. They grew up with something different, and you grew up with something
Here's
different.
where I disagree. About the friends thing, absolutely, you should not date somebody who is more than a year older or younger than you are when you are a teenager. I am a very strong believer in that. Unless you like failed a couple of grades or are
Guys,
younger.
okay. I think let's move on and
Oh right,
stop
yeah, we are
dictating
deviating. I
everyone's
just
life
realized.
choices. Yeah, let's move
But
on.
no. Just
Let's
let
go
me
to the
finish my
next
point.
thing.
Let me finish my point. Just a second. But I think having friends who are a little older than you or a little younger than you as a teenager, so long as that is completely platonic. And when I mean completely, I mean completely platonic. It should be okay, in my opinion. Anyways, moving on.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I
Yeah.
said. All right. I also have another thing that's like not like in favor of nature. It's actually against nature. Why I think the whole nature argument can easily be just bullshit. So, I'm a forensic science major. I'm studying forensic science in my school, and we have forensic anthropology as one of our subjects. I mean, not one of our subjects. We like studied into it, and we studied about this dude named Cesare Lombronzo. He's an Italian criminologist, and he's had a bunch of great contributions to the whole field of science in general, anthropology and forensics especially. And he had this study, and I thought it was so fascinating that this made perfect sense at the time. His study stated that, I think I talked to Tanvi about this, I'm not sure, but his study stated that
I was left out again.
you were
Dun,
busy,
dun,
shut up.
dun.
There's a reason. There's a reason you were
Exactly.
left out, Handa. Take the hint.
Oh my god.
I will leave.
Oh my god. But the study stated that basically how during like prehistoric times when humans were like much more, you know, in their early development ages, right? Like Homo sapiens, Neanderthals, all of them, they had a specific body structure and facial features. And this is what Cesar said. This is not what I think. But he had said that individuals currently who are criminals, who are similar to those like Neanderthals and those Homo sapiens who were very barbaric at the time, more closer to like our animalistic side. They have like similar facial features, those criminals and those like Homo sapiens. I mean, not Homo sapiens, like older ones.
See, but that's such bull because I have like a. They look very average. Like most of the criminals we've seen look
Exactly,
extremely
that's what I'm saying.
average.
It's complete
So
bullshit, the whole nature argument, because like especially this was the main belief that went on for so long. Like it's still there in textbooks. This guy is still being referred to. I think it's fascinating because he compared like someone, like a whole species, like a version of current humans that were very much more feral and more in a state of like survival, just pure survival, right? No individualism was like, it wasn't important at the time. We had to survive. And he said that, okay, so they're more animalistic, they're more feral. Anyone who looks like them is a criminal. And the thing about his study, though, was that it pinned a lot of this on people who were black. It really fucked them over, especially during the time that his study had come out. And it mainly pinned at men as well. And of course, like, I'm just gonna say this, numbers-wise, statistically, more men have committed more crime than women. Not saying women don't, of course not. But that's what the study did. It pinned specifically men and specifically black men. And that was so damaging. And it currently is as well. Like, it's not that it's changed, as we know. But that's the reason why nature is such bullshit as well. The whole argument of nature is that it depends on what route you're taking. If you're talking about personality and mentality, sure, there's more support to it. There's more like value to it. But if you're talking about like your ancestors, if you're talking about like who you are now, like how you are externally, not like you as a person, your mentality, then I think that's a bit of a problem, because it's such bullshit. It can fuck someone over so easily if you just try and find a similarity. So, yeah, my teachers are gonna be proud of me.
I know, very impressed. Nice.
Nice. Toit.
No, but now that we all know that Sunidhi is like majoring in forensic sciences, let's get on to some interesting part. Or do you have any like true crime cases you'd like to talk about in this reference?
Literally, you can pick up like any serial killer, really. Like, like everyone talks about like how like Ted Bundy was like raised very well and he was a charismatic guy and
Okay,
shit.
yeah, Ted Bundy was like, yeah, very mainstream. Let's go with that.
He's
Okay.
literally just a
Everyone
piece of
knows
shit,
him.
and people just romanticized him, and that's what people wanted. I mean, that's what like the
I
police at the time
know,
wanted to
it's
do.
so odd.
Can I just say, anytime you hear about, I'm verifying this. This is something I learned a while back, and I'm just gonna let people know. If you ever see or hear or like are studying about like serial killers, and you know you hear like he was very charismatic, he was very charming, bull fucking shit. No, they weren't. They were normal people. They were hella weird. Ted Bundy was hella
Ding,
creepy.
ding, seconded.
His professor
Yeah.
literally was like, Ted's a weirdo. And like whenever police officers came around asking for like if there were any potential suspects, his psychology English professor went and said like, oh yeah, Ted, he's odd. Like, he wasn't charming. The reason why now currently these serial killers are seen as charming and all that, especially people like Jeffrey Dahmer, is because police did such a shit job at pinpointing it on them that they're just like, oh, they were charismatic, they were like so charming, they like wooed us and shit.
No
Just
one
so
ever
it takes
thought
accountability.
it could be them.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
lot of these serial killers have almost like this myth around them that they were these super
Yes.
geniuses who were obsessive and very careful, when in reality they were just average people who like
They
were
were
very
so
clumsy.
Yeah.
average.
And because the authorities did such a shit job at trying to find them, they had to make up this whole story about how much of a genius every serial killer is, just to
Yeah.
cover their own assets. Like that's what happened there, which is so sad.
And back, like not even like a few years back, I think even like over a decade ago, it was pretty tough to trace down these people because, well, you had no internet, there were hardly any CCTV cameras, there was like very little evidence of even like a crime being committed a lot of times. So instead of, just admitting that there is nothing we can go about, it's just like, oh yeah, they were charming, they were smart, they were so sexy, ooh, like that's what they went with. So
Exactly. It's the same thing. I brought this up in like solitary confinement, stuff like that, right? I don't know. We were talking about that, and I brought up the case of like Damien Eccles, like the West Memphis 3. The police officers of Okay, I'm gonna repeat that whole thing because I don't know how to
West
talk.
Memphis. Yeah.
Where did she go? Okay.
Yeah.
So we were like talking about solitary confinement and like death penalty and all that, all that fun stuff. And I brought up the case of the West Memphis 3, right? And the West Memphis 3 police can go fuck themselves, especially at that time, right? They pinpointed it on Damien Eccles, Jesse Miskelly, and Jason Baldwin. These 3 teenagers, just teenagers, all right, who have no position to do any of the things that they were being accused of. Like, they were so far apart and detached from it, right? They barely even knew these kids. And the fact that police were like, oh, let's like pin it on them, and they painted Damon Eccles, especially the quote-unquote ringleader, according to them, as like this charming and like super devious and calculated mastermind. No, he was just a kid who's fucking rebellious and artistic. That's it. Literally just that. And it drove me insane that so many people will pinpoint. Like, even now, you have so many fucking like Karens who look at like kids who are wearing like goth clothing and they're just like, oh, they're Satanists, they're like into cult shit. Like, no. You can't judge so many things on the basis
Live
of
and
that.
let live. Live and let live. Like,
Exactly.
that's
the whole problem
yeah.
with nature.
No, but
That's the whole problem with
especially
nature.
in
They're
the
like connected to similarities. They like compare and they connect. It's like, oh, you look like that killer from that while back. So did 25 other white men. I'm pretty sure like your senator, your like bloody neighbor looked like one of the killers. All right, relax.
yeah.
Nature
Yeah, and
should
like
rely more on
especially in the
mentality.
Ted Bundy case,
Yeah.
now that we talked about it, it's not like he was so heavily romanticized. Like out of all the cases that I've read about and stuff, he was so heavily romanticized. Like he was so
Exactly.
charming, so people couldn't help but help him.
Dude,
Like
they
he
literally
preyed on
got
people's
Troy
niceness.
Bolton to play him in a movie. Fucking Troy Bolton.
Exactly.
Like,
Troy Bolton, oh my god.
And it was
fuck,
so
dude.
Oh my god, yeah,
romanticized.
there was a movie. I just remembered The Wicked and stuff. I can't
The
Yeah, yeah.
wicked
remember.
and
Some
gruesome
wicked,
and
vicious,
vile and all those words.
yeah, it's that, yeah.
They
It's
even
a
got
string
like
of
Ross
those
Lynch
words
to
you can
do
figure out.
for My Friend Dahmer, I think. Ross Lynch, all right, Ross Lynch, who was
And
Austin Moon in Austin and Alley. Just by the way,
Okay,
for
sorry. I just
everyone
got the
who's
name of the
actually
Zac Efron movie where he played Ted Bundy. It was extremely wicked and shockingly vile and evil.
those
okay,
words are
cool.
the things that the
Yeah.
judge used during his sentencing. That's why they used that.
Yeah.
Oh.
And like on the Ted Bundy case again, like if anyone has heard the tapes and stuff, like the questions and the
The
journalist wala
Confessions
thing,
on Netflix. Go
um,
listen.
yeah, oh yeah, it's on Netflix. So it's not like he was extremely charming or anything. It's just that he was decently eloquent, which most people are. So I don't even see why it was so like listen to his voice, listen to how he talks. Like most people talk like that. You just think he can't talk because he's a serial killer, bruh. I don't know what
No,
to tell
yeah,
you.
exactly. He was so premeditated that he literally, the only thing that you can give to him, quote unquote, give to him, is that he planned. That's all. And that's the thing that all killers have done. They've planned it all out in their fucking minds and they went and did it. Ted Bundy, like, when he was caught and, like, they were, like, asking him and, like, telling him, like, why the fuck did you do this? What was the reason behind it? And he, like as his last attempt he blamed it on pornography, and a bunch of people, the moment that happened, they were like telling kids and telling like friends, family, like, no porn, don't watch porn is bad, porn is shit, it will make you a killer. And like, sure, he was into violent porn, yes, but that's the thing, that wasn't the main reason. Porn was never the actual reason. It might have like maybe like given him some sort of more ideas, I don't even know, I highly doubt he blamed it like that.
Oh
But
yeah,
that's the thing, it
aren't
was a
there these
last
stories
attempt.
of like when he was a kid and made this like kind of trap with sharp wooden sticks or something, and a kid fell in and
Oh
got hurt,
wow.
and he was just like, so his fault.
Is that these people are empathetic? They're sorry, not empathetic, apathetic. They're apathetic, they don't care, they're
I was so
manipulative.
confused. I was like, what?
It's like literally the exact opposite of what you were trying to say.
Yeah.
I was like, no, they're
Ah.
the exact opposite of that. But yeah, they're not, and it drives me insane that they're gonna, in situations like this is where I don't give a shit about nurture. I don't. Like, okay, I don't care how you was
Okay, yeah,
raised. I
yeah,
don't care what had
definitely.
happened. It's about the crime at that point. You've murdered so many women. You've like harmed so many young boys. You've harmed this and that, and like you've done so many terrible things. None of which can be justified by just who you are as a person. Like, okay, by like who. Why am I messing up what I'm saying? None of it can be justified on the basis of how you were raised. All right, terrible, terrible crimes can't be justified.
Yeah.
If someone's caught, like, let's say in a grocery store shooting, right, because of gang violence, to some degree you can justify that. To some degree you can lower the sentencing, maybe, right? That's when like nature comes in, like, oh, you were raised in such an environment and you didn't know what else to do. That's when, like, okay, yeah, nurture plays a role. But in cases like Ted Bundy, Jeffrey Dahmer, like, they were raised in decent households. Like Ted especially, he was raised in a decent household. It wasn't bad, all right? But he
Yeah,
was
he
the
had a
person that he
decent
was.
life.
He had a decent life, exactly. He was just a weird fucking kid and just messed up in the head. And the fact that people romanticized him just
Bro.
really annoyed me so much. And there's like
It's
serial
yeah,
killer
it's pretty
memorabilia
annoying.
out there. Like people are like, oh, here's like John Wayne Gacy's like clown out, like stuff like shit like that. It just
Oh my
annoys me
god.
so much. I'm like,
Also,
why?
I
The
swear to
names that they
God,
give
if
them,
you're one of the
especially.
people who are making TikToks right now that go, oh my god, serial killers and this arsonists and all
Yes,
that are
exactly.
so
Like
hot.
what
Oh,
was
why is that a
the
trend? And then
Hernandez
they have
brothers?
like
I
Britney
think
Spears song going in the background, like,
they literally
Mama,
talk so.
I'm in love with a criminal. Like, why? What
Stop
even?
sexualizing psychopaths. They would
No.
not have been in love with you, they would kill you. And then maybe do
Exactly.
unspeakable things to your dead body. Let's not
And
get into that.
literally,
Thank you.
people literally go like, "Oh, I'd be like Ted's victim. Oh my god!" And they just like casually laugh it off. Like, no,
Oh my
honey,
god, ew,
stop,
no.
stop. You don't want that. People like
It's
It's
I'm
not
very
disgusting. Like,
edgy
if
to
few.
you
want to
actually
fuck a
look in.
psychopath. It's not edgy, it's just
No, and you're
weird.
not gonna be alive when they're doing it. You will be dead in like
Exactly.
mountains
Like
somewhere when
I
they are. Oh
I
god.
know people who are like, oh man, like I would have such a great time in Charles Manson's van. They killed a pregnant woman. What is up with you? Why would you want to hang out with someone like that? Like, okay, so for example, in Charles Manson's case, right? The
It's
Manson
not an
family cult.
aesthetic, please.
Exactly.
Let's not.
The Manson's family cult, right? That's a whole shit show, right? Cults and shit. With the Charles Manson one, right? Insane. And in that situation, nurture plays a big role. In my opinion, nurture plays a big role. He was a fucked up dude, yes. He did terrible things and he was part of a terrible.
I don't know who that is though, so fill
Charles
me in.
Manson, you know the guy with the swastika on his forehead? He like carved a swastika into his forehead.
I have
I'm
no
sure you've seen
idea.
his
Damn, I
face.
need to check this out.
Search Charles
Have you
Manson.
watched
I
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
No.
no, bro, haven't.
Okay. Basically, he killed this actress called Sharon Tate. He ran a cult, one of the most famous cults
Oh
ever,
my
called.
god.
They would break into celebrities' houses and like rob them. And one time he killed this very well known actor called Sharon Tate. She was pregnant at the time. It was a whole
Yeah.
thing. And then all of
Oh
them like killed themselves.
no, that's
Yeah,
horrible.
that's what ended up happening. So
But the
that's
reason
the
why it was
basic
so
gist of the story.
romanticized, the reason why people started romanticizing him was because he like literally just a van full of like stoners basically. People are like, oh, we get high all the time. Like, no, you'd be fucked. You'd be dead. They did so many drugs, so many terrible like things. They ingested so many things that sure they might have had a good time, but still, I mean, yeah, but I'm deviating. Coming back to like nature nurture situation. In that case, nurture plays a big role because if I'm remembering correctly, his mother abandoned him, literally sold him. His mother sold him for like a pack of beer when he was a baby. Then he was passed around person to person,
I'm
like sold
sorry, a
around.
Oh, I
pack
have
of
heard
beer.
this.
Yeah, I think it was a pack of beer. I'm not
I have
entirely
heard
certain.
this.
A
Yeah.
pack of beer doesn't really exist. There's nothing like
Not
a pack of
Okay,
beer,
Tanvi,
anyways.
6 beers. Six
Okay,
beers. She
a
sold him
six
for
pack.
6 beers.
A six pack. Got it.
Oh,
Continue.
wow. No, I think I've heard this. Now that you mentioned
Yeah.
the beer thing, I was like, yeah, this seems like I think I've heard of this. Oh
Yeah.
god.
And then at a very young age, he was like taught on how to steal and stuff. And then he was sent to jail. And he spent his entire like childhood and teenagehood and everything in jail. He just knew what life was within those walls. Once he got out, and literally when he like, and he was falsely accused, I think, or like at least it wasn't as bad. His crime wasn't as bad for his sentencing. I'm not entirely certain. I might do like a proper case study of it later on. But he like was in those behind those walls for so long, and then suddenly in his like 20s they were like, oh yeah, no, it's fine, you can leave now. Like literally at that point he didn't want to leave. At that point he was like, no, I don't want to leave, because that's all he knew. He was living a decent life within prison walls. He literally played his own music. Fuck, like he probably had a chance with the Beach Boys. Not gonna lie, like there was a whole situation where he could have been with the Beach Boys. Could have been like he even made some music. He just played with his guitar within the prison walls, lived his life because that's all he knew. And then the system fucked him over, right? Dragged his ass ass outside. He didn't want to leave prison, but they brought him outside into the world where no one to take care of him, no custody over him. Like, he was a grown person, right? Like, no one to take care of him. He had no idea how stuff outside worked. Everything that he knew was within those walls. Once he was outside, like, a shit show after shit show, and then he got into drugs, and drugs, they fuck with your head, and it just was a downhill spiral. Then his mind got fucked over because of the hard drugs that he was taking, and all the partying, and all like the booze and everything. And then he went down the whole cult route, and then he got a whole following, and it was just a mess. And the woman he married, he she literally wrote him letters to him while he was in prison, completely like a situation of just romanticization. And I know there are people who think that that's okay, like the Hernandez brothers. Like, there was a recent trend I saw on TikTok where they're just like, oh my god, they're so like, or like Menendez, I don't even fucking remember, but like these two brothers, and they were like, oh my god, these are like the most attractive like sibling killers. Shut the fuck up. Like, alright, they killed people.
What makes you find a category for siblings?
Also,
Yes.
first of all,
Killers, yes, attractive.
how fucking specific is that? How specific a category
I
is
know.
that? It's like the
I
world's
swear,
like
how do you get to
smartest.
that?
It's the world's smartest three-legged horse, you guys. Who cares? If you're getting that specific, just the logistics of this
I
makes
don't
no
know,
sense.
alright? I looked, like, I don't remember what it said. It was just something like, oh, most attractive like killers, most attractive like serial killers, or like, I don't know what they said. It was just like those two together thing.
The
That's just all I
world's
saw.
most attractive siblings who are serial killers. How like,
You go into attractiveness.
It's nothing
do
new.
you even want that title? It's so pointless.
Hey, Wattpad isn't like that bad yet. It's pretty bad, don't get me wrong. It's
Yeah.
just, I don't think it's reached that level yet.
I'm willing to bet my bottom dollar that Wattpad definitely has some serial killer smart on there. Pakka.
Oh,
Pakka.
yeah,
Oh, of
It'll
course,
be like,
bro. It has normal people like turned into. I'm sure there must be some One Direction fan going like, yeah, One Direction, there's a mafia, haha. Let them
Yeah.
kill
is it
someone,
like
haha.
They like fantasize about
why
the
and I have
mafias.
sold you to One Direction, like a
Yeah,
very common
I'm pretty sure that was a thing.
category of fan fiction
No,
there. And
no,
I'm like,
that's
you're
not.
saying that they would buy a human being? That is what you want?
That's more
That makes
poverty.
no sense. Like,
I
yeah, your
love
mom's
how-
a dick for selling you, but One Direction's a dick for buying you. What?
Like, what would you need to buy someone
Just
for?
see,
Can't you
like,
just
Niall
hire
Horan.
someone to do your cleaning?
No, I don't know. Like, it's just Harry. They're just like, all right, love, come along.
Dude, no.
Oh my.
Seriously, what? No, like, why would you need to buy and according to these, books, a very petite, good-looking teenage child
Who is
will do your
apparently very
cleaning for you,
average and everyone
apparently.
hates. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
At the same
yeah.
time.
No, or like just amazing, like literally made from
No,
God's
it's
hand
those
yourself or
ones.
something. And
It's those ones
yeah,
where it's like
and then
they're just like perfect, right? But they're like so shy.
But
and
everyone
artsy,
hates them.
and no one knows them, and someone
yeah,
bullies them all the time.
yeah.
But every single boy in their school is still in love with them. That makes no sense.
Like the guy best
Like-
friend is in love with them. The guy that they're crushing on within the school is obsessed with them, and then the mafia
Must be
leader
nice to
is,
be Vian.
The most popular guy in school has a crush on
like secretly has a crush
everybody
on
hates
them.
them, but they are so average, but they are played by Barbara Palvin and everybody's in love with
I
them. And I'm just like,
swear.
you choose one,
Honestly,
man. You choose one
I
category
feel
and
like
fucking stick to it.
I feel like all of us have this perfect image of like Vian in our head, and it's always that you read anything and there's a Vian, you think of that person.
Yeah.
You never actually say your name. You call them Vian. You go like, yes, Vian. Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
Vian's
That's like a
suitable
natural name now.
Maybe like someone names their child, yeah, like OUYEEN something. I don't know. I can see it happening in the future. YN.
Please no. Please no.
And the thing is, the problem is, I still don't know who Barbara Palvin is or what she looks like. I
Oh,
just
she's a
know that
model
she
and
is a
she's
very pretty.
supermodel. I
She's
just know
really
that she's a
pretty.
supermodel, and she has been cast in every single YA novel in like
Yeah.
Wattpad history.
Which like
Those are the
talking about
only
it,
two
I
things
just
will
remembered.
talk
I
about.
just remembered. I read this story one time. Right? I was into weird shit when I was younger. All right. I remember I read the story one time. It was like Barbara
You're into
Palvin.
weird shit now. What do you mean
I
that
don't
you were
read
into
Wattpad.
weird shit
Right?
when you
I
were
don't
younger?
read
You're
Wattpad
into
now.
weird shit now.
I don't read Wattpad now. I used to read Wattpad though. But like I remember I read the story one time where it was like Barbara Palvin, she gets like her character
You
gets
could read. I'm sorry.
kidnapped and thrown into like a van or something and taken away, and she's like supposed to be like this ditzy and cuddly like person, and like her captor falls in love with her and she falls in love with the captor. So Stockholm syndrome. Yeah.
Stockholm syndrome
Oof.
again. Hearts.
Yeah. Even Money Heist, there was
I
like
don't know why
Stockholm
that's
syndrome.
such
It's
a
so weird.
common trope. Like why
Yeah.
is Stockholm syndrome so like romanticized? Everything is romanticized. Why are
Yeah,
people
that's
romanticizing
true.
How did we
dumb
get from
stuff?
nature versus nurture to Stockholm syndrome?
Everything comes back to nature
We
versus
just
nurture.
did.
Everything. Everything. Literally from like
Everything
the
comes
way you're
back to nature
named to the
versus
way you
nurture.
talk comes back to nature versus nurture. Like literally.
Tanvi, your mother probably sold you to One Direction because it's happened in the past. Your ancestors probably did this as well.
Couldn't they have sold me to Arctic Monkeys at least? Why like teeny pop music?
No. See,
Why?
to add to the trope, of course you don't like their music. You like some other music that's like nothing like theirs, and then you hear their music one day and you're so touched you start crying, and that's when the entire love
Wait, Handa, I
hexagon
have a
starts.
question.
I
Have
don't
you
know.
actually read one of these like YN novels?
Bro, I have read so many YA novels just to shit on them. Don't ask me. It's one of my hobbies.
Oh my
I
I
actually
had
god.
this
oddly never
thing
did.
in 10th grade. Whenever I was stressed and sad, I used to open Wattpad, look for the most disgusting YN books I could find, and read it and laugh
Okay.
my ass off for
So
like hours.
if anybody ever hacks Handa, she's trying to make up excuses of like why her 10th grade search history is just full of shitty Wattpad fanfic. She's like, I read them
Oh
ironically,
god.
guys. Believe me,
Oh
it was
my
all
god.
ironic. It wasn't genuine. I don't
Okay,
like
no,
this. I
see,
didn't have a
I
crush on
have
Harry
never.
Styles.
I did not. I am genuinely. Everyone around me had such a huge thing for Harry Styles. I was like, dude, please stop. I don't even want to look at this guy anymore because everywhere I look, I just see like someone screaming, Harry Styles. I'm like,
See,
not again, you.
he's not that attractive, you guys.
Alright,
He's
I'm
a good.
ignoring you
Here's
now.
the thing.
He
I
is.
like
I'm
his
ignoring you
music.
now.
I really like Sign of the Times. I really
No.
liked. I like that song. But
I like his
and
music
Kiwi
and
is a
he is
bop.
attractive,
Kiwi is a
but I
fucking
am
bop.
not going to
And I
read fan fiction about him when
Yeah.
my mother sold
also
me.
I've never read
like,
fanfiction
quite
actually.
frankly, just also he's not my type. Let's just leave it at that.
Is
And it's
anyone your
all-
type?
Tanvi,
Also,
no one's your type.
You're
that's
no-
true.
you have
Nobody's
no
my
type.
You are no one's type.
I am nobody's type and no one's mine. I shall die alone and be happy
Which
about
makes
it.
you perfect for these YN books. This is a
Actually.
quote
Oh
exactly
god,
like
Anda, fuck
You get
off.
everything
YN would
and
say
nothing
this,
at
a
the same
YN
time.
would say this.
I get everything and nothing at the same time. Yeah, that's very on brand. But no, I don't. No, I'm good. Thank you. I would
Everyone
rather
listening,
die
honestly,
alone
please
with
make
like
fan
15
fiction
If you
set Tanvi
ever-
centric. Please,
If
thank
you ever want to like really disturb
will
yourself,
sue all
go
of you.
ahead and read some Shrek fan fiction on Tumblr.
Exactly.
Oh,
I was going to
yes.
bring this up. I was
And
going to
yes,
bring this
it's
up.
10 out of 10
disgusting,
do
but
recommend.
it's hilarious.
I
10 out of
remember
10. I strongly recommend go to Tumblr, make an account. I made an account just to read Shrek fanfic. Handa read it out to Sunidhi and I.
Exactly. It was.
Iconic.
We were just. I don't even remember what time it was. I think it was like 2 a.m. quarantine.
4:30 a.m.
Probably 4. I don't
4:30.
even know.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah,
And
4 a.m.
Handa's
or
just like,
something that.
Anika's just like, let me just read Shrek fan fiction. I'm like, and you know what? This is the worst part. That's not the first time I'm hearing that. That wasn't the first time, all right? That was the second time put in that situation, and I'm like, sure, let's do it. Oh my god. I hate my friends.
Dude, it's so
I have-
disturbing. For the next 10 days, if you see anything green, you are going to flinch and run away. So
You have Shrexophone playing in the background.
Shrexophone.
Have you not? Oh my gosh, Shrexophone's amazing. Oh my god. Yeah.
I actually heard a remix of Get Out of My Swamp. I
Oh
don't know
yes, I
why,
think
but
you
it
sent it.
exists.
I think it was on Insta and you sent it. I don't know.
I think so. Yeah, it was great.
Beautiful. I think it was during the time when you were spamming with TikToks.
Oh, R.I.P. TikTok, by the
Anyways, we've
way.
come from nature
We've come a
versus
far
nurture
way.
to Shrek fan
We've come a
fiction.
very
Like,
long
yeah.
way from where we started. But yes, please do give us your opinions on nature versus nurture, the whole thing. Our social
Also,
medias.
let's just say it was very on brand that this was an episode that I was supposed to be leading, and we ended up so off topic that
Nothing new.
Guys, when in
it's
doubt,
very it's
blame Tanvi. Just
of
blame
course
Tanvi. That's all you
always.
need to do.
Let's just have that as like our Insta bio. When in doubt, blame Tanvi, because that is where we are in life
Yeah.
at this point.
Yes, yes. Everyone.
Um,
Everyone at one point just, leaves everything and yeah.
Um, but yeah, definitely give us your opinions on what you think it is. If you think we just said complete horseshit, that's cool. It's fine. We probably did.
Yeah, we were mostly talking about Shrek fan fiction.
I
It's
don't know how we get
understandable.
here. I
We
don't
don't
know how
blame
we
you.
did this, but
whatever criticisms you have of us, constructive or just straight up hate, you can reach us on Instagram at dude is water wet, and you can reach us on our Gmail ID, which Anika will now tell you. Anika, tell them
I
our Gmail
think
ID,
it's
please.
dudeswaterwet@gmail.com.
well,
Very
you'll see it
But
very
somewhere.
cool.
We'll plug it in somehow.
yeah,
We don't
yeah,
even
we
know
are
what we're
not too
We'll
doing.
sure.
manage.
We're so professional, I swear to God.
Yeah.
Okay, shit. I just remembered. I had one question to ask. I'm so
What
sorry.
happened?
Just one follow-up question about nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
So, in a similar vein, dude, do you think water is wet?
So,
See,
given
Tanvi,
its
I've told you
background,
again.